You're listening to the Marginally Geeky Show, the epically geeky book club.
Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by Kris and Ray and Shaun. How are y'all doing?
Hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Peachy.
Tonight's book we are reviewing is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This was your pick, Kris. So let's start off with, why did you pick this book?
Because the lady at the bookstore recommended it.
Okay.
It was the same person who recommended A House on the Cerulean Sea. So.
Oh, okay. I did enjoy that book. So okay, I get it. That's okay. Cool. So, like, did you say it all like this is the type of thing you're interested in, or was it just like?
Well, Ray felt compelled to talk to people that day, so he asked what this person would recommend.
We started talking about like different books and stuff.
I was wandering around.
And so I did. I was like, well, what do you recommend? Well, this is kind of the stuff we're into. What do you suggest? And so that's when, she brought out House in Cerulean Sea and then this one.
And something else. I can't remember.
But I know I took a picture of everyone that she recommended. So,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here. You want to give us a brief rundown about what it's about?
Do you want me to read the back of the book?
Sure, that's fine too. It's there for a reason. So,
the blurb on the back of the book says, ever since she was cursed by a fairy, Theodora Eddings has had no sense of fear or embarrassment, an unfortunate condition that leaves her prone to accidental scandal. Dora hopes to be a quiet, sensible wallflower during the London season, but when Elias Wilder, a handsome, peculiar, and utterly ill-mannered Lord Sorcerer, discovers her condition, she is instead drawn into dangerous fairy affairs. Oh, woo!
How scandalous!
I know, right? All right. Well, let's start off with our initial impressions. What's your initial impression of the book, Kris? Did you enjoy it? Not?
Yeah. So first of all, the London season is basically a bunch of balls for a bunch of moms to put out their daughters saying, "Hey, marry her." It's usually like a few months, like a chunk of months, and then it's done. And then you do it again. And it's like a coming out of all these 16 and 17-year-olds. I thought I really liked it. Initially, I mean, it always takes me a few chapters to get into a book anyway. But yeah, I found it delightful.
All right. Ray, what were your initial thoughts?
It did take me a little bit to get into the book and find the right speed to listen to. Normally I listen to books at one. It's like just normal speed, like 1 times. Sometimes I'll bump it up to like 1.5 if it's a little bit of a slower reader, or if it's somebody that I'm a little impatient on listening to. This is the fastest I've listened to a book, which was 1.7 times. But overall, the book won me over.
Okay. Shaun, initial thoughts?
Wasn't my cup of tea. I was struck at the beginning of the book, like it was the premise of the book, like they jumped into it, like 2 paragraphs, and it was like, oh, she has half a soul. And then, which was like, all right, they want to really move ahead with this. But as the book carried on, some of it was not too bad, but I am not into the whole ball scene and marrying off your daughters and all that. And I cringed the whole time. So like, even though there was some decent parts of the book, overall, I returned it. I knew I wasn't going to listen to it again.
I figured.
I will say it did win me over. I did enjoy it. Definitely not something I would pick. Yes, the whole scene of the proper manners and then how you do this and you talk to someone in the courting and all that. Yeah, definitely not my scene. The fact there was magic in it, I was just like, okay, maybe this is going to be enough of a hook. I agree. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed about the book is I did, of course, seeing the cover, I'm like, okay, there's a pair of scissors on here. It's called Half a Soul. Wonder how this all plays together. And literally it explains everything in the like first 2 or 3 paragraphs. And I actually really enjoyed that. I was just like, okay, so it's a literal title. It's not some kind of fanciful, oh, well, she hasn't found the right person. She's only half a soul. I was kind of thinking something like that. I was like, oh no, half of her soul is gone. And because of it, she doesn't feel feelings very well. And then the old dude was stabbed with scissors. And I'm just like, cool. Out. So I did enjoy that part of the book. So well, let's go ahead and talk about some different aspects of it, what we enjoyed and not and everything. Favorite part of the book, Kris?
I love all of that etiquette, like the whole etiquette and the dialogue, because it's all just ridiculous and wonderful to me. It's the rules. I enjoy rules, and these rules are very specific for some reason, and I love it. So I like every interaction that Dora has with somebody of regular, like who has a full soul and is like full of, understands what she's saying. Is like, scandal, Dora, oh my, because she's just says it. She says what everybody else is thinking, right? Like she just says it, and I like that. And I just, any interaction she had with Elias, I thought was, I don't know, funny. It's like he enjoyed her getting under his skin. He really liked it for some reason. And I liked that when she was asking, or he was telling how he came here, he was like, fairies don't lie. They just don't. They're cruel, but they don't lie. So when I came here, I literally thought the French were evil. So I literally thought I was killing evil people. But then I find out humans lie. So then it's like, what's worse? Right? Are you brutally honest, but there's this cruelty, but you know where you stand. There's no, you don't have to read between the lines. Or is there this kind of, is it fake kindness and everybody lies, and how do you trust and all this kind of stuff? So I thought I liked that part very, very much.
Ray, favorite part?
I think like the ball scene where he creates the stars, and that was kind of a cool scene. But the one that stuck out the most for me was the second story at the end. I really like the story of if you haven't listened to that part, it was him and Albert meeting in the war and Napoleon and going, and that's when they get more into detail about some of the magic, as well as the whole he doesn't lie and he doesn't know what lying is, and I enjoyed that part quite a bit. I understand why it was a part of the book, but I do. I'm glad that they did
it. Shaun?
I didn't mind the interactions with Elias and Albert. Those two together, I liked how they were paired. And yeah, I gotta agree with Ray. The short story at the end was actually a much better story of how Albert and Elias meet. To me, anyway.
I'm kind of along with Kris on. I like the interaction. I specifically like. So I've already said I'm not this high society and all the rules and stuff. I don't feel it. I don't grok it. That being said, I liked seeing both of our main characters and their interaction with everyone else, in that she can't comprehend it. And so she's just like, oh, did I make a mistake? Sorry. And it was just like, whatever, fuck it, move on. And I liked his interaction because he knew, oh no, I know this is not what I'm supposed to do, but you know what? Fuck you. This is how I am. And I liked that very staunch. I really don't care what you think. Like, this is my job. I'm doing my job. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And in her aspect, it's, I'm trying. Sorry. Like, it's just, it was very blunt. And I actually really did like that. Just as a side thought, because it occurred to me while one of you was talking specifically about her. And maybe I should be saving this to the question later on when we, what would we ask the author? Did anyone else read this as a I'm lost for the main word. Looking at this as like being her being half of soul would be, you know, an allegory to her being autistic.
we both talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, because that kind of hit me. I kind of was like, okay, well, maybe this is you know, exploring that idea from a more I guess not politically charged idea or whatever, because that's kind of how she comes across, is that, you know, this is just how she is, and
Mhm.
the inability to read people. That's something that is very much, you know, on that spectrum. I mean, not everyone hits it, but I mean, like, hell, sometimes I'm in that spectrum, far of the spectrum. I'm just like, I have no idea how I'm supposed to interact with you. So whatever. But yeah, that's something that I kind of read into it, and I wasn't sure if, you know, Shaun, did you do any? Because you're kind of the researcher of the group. Did you do any research into? Was that something that she had planned for this book, or something? You know, a take she had on this book, or
Honestly, I didn't do quite as much research on this one.
okay, fair enough.
But well, it that whole like marrying off your daughters and stuff like that, just it's not. I just don't like it.
Oh, no, I
So,
get it.
and then it just kind of tainted the rest of it. I also found the story itself pretty simplistic.
Mhm.
Um, but on your thoughts, like on the autism spectrum, yeah, honestly, that didn't even cross my mind. But when you said it, it was like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. So, but
Yeah,
That's-
because somebody like that during that time in England would have been treated like that. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
Oh,
would,
absolutely.
as a less than person who was just sort of, and I think I like reading about that and watching movies about that, is because it did happen. Like you were, as a young woman, you were just something to be married off to, and if you couldn't and you became a spinster, then you became a burden, and it wasn't ideal. So if you couldn't marry for love, you couldn't have the pick of the person you wanted to be with. You had to marry for money, especially if you didn't have any means yourself as a woman. So
Well,
I'm just super happy it's not like that anymore.
it's infuriating and fascinating to
Yeah.
me how drastic some of the or into the lengths that some of these women, as in the mothers, would go to sell off their daughters essentially to the highest bidder in order to be okay themselves. And you see that in this story where the aunt is so fucking terrible that
No, yeah.
she's like, how can you not think of me and what I like? I need money for when when I'm like, when you move out and your husband's gonna have to take care of me. And it's like, fuck you, lady. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's fascinating, but horrifying to me.
Oh no, I get it, and like I said, and I definitely got that too. I was just like, oh, okay, this is gonna be this is gonna be a main part of this story. So I'm just whatever. But you know, it comes with that time period and you know the territory for that. But like I said, the biggest thing that hit me was like, and I don't even know when. I know it was early on in the book. Specifically, I think just like in the very beginning when they were talking about the fact that, oh well, she lacks the capability of
Mhm.
you know picking up subtle hints, and I was like, oh, so she's autistic.
And that's I
Yeah.
remember talking to Kris about that like early on in the book as well. I'm like, is this like like her being autistic? Is that what they're trying to describe? And kind of, and it doesn't matter either way.
No, it doesn't.
Because I just thought it was an interesting conversation piece.
I was a little concerned because I figure what's his name, the magician that she
Bias.
yeah, I was like, well, he's clearly autistic too. He's just on a different end of the spectrum. It's just his is you know his is being explained as this is his upbringing. Hers is being explained as a medical condition, I guess you could call it, or whatever. I was a little concerned as I got through the book, though, that not knowing how it was going to end, I was just like, all right, well, if she gets her other half of her soul, does that mean she's fixed
Yeah.
and normal? And I was like, that's
I didn't want that either.
No.
you know, if you're not, if she was not doing this as an allegory for being autistic, I was like, okay, maybe she didn't see that this was what she was kind of putting forward, or and if she was, then lady, we need to have a conversation.
Well,
But yeah, the way the book ends, I was just like, okay, no, cool. Like, she's cool. This is how I am. And, you know, accept me for who I am. And so I liked that aspect of it. So sorry, I didn't mean to completely go down that rabbit hole, but
no,
I was kind of expecting y'all to honestly to kind of bring it up. So
so it was something that we had discussed, and I was worried about the same thing, Eugene, where it was like if that's what she's saying, that people that are autistic have only half a soul, and that's, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate how the story kind of went overall. So yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Refer back to the notes. My phone keeps like locking me out, so I have to keep pulling it back up here. Least favorite part. We'll go from the high to the low.
I think the least favorite part. I just kind of how quickly it ended. It all wrapped up really quickly, and I never really like that in any book. I don't like it when it's like story. Oh, and here in the last chapter, we're gonna just neatly tie everything up in a bow. It's all fine. It's like I hate that. You've drawn it out. Keep drawing it. Like you've gone this far. Why are you just suddenly now changing the pace of the story? So that part, I didn't like. Although I did like that she gave resolution to all the characters. Like this person married this person married this person, and this is where they live, and this is what happened. But it was just all really quick for me.
Yeah, it did wrap up pretty quick. So
Well,
right,
it started really quick.
It did,
that is very true.
Maybe that was the point, but I just personally.
Now I have the picture. Now I have this picture of her writing this book, and she's like, "Okay, this is only 100 pages," and it's just like, I'll just draw out the middle as far as I can. Didn't do anything to the ending or to the first and third act. The first and third act stayed like that. The rest was just all second act. So,
yeah. So, but I don't like. I don't mind a quick beginning where they like you drop in the middle of the action, but like a quick ending, I just like that. But that's it.
Okay, Ray.
I think for me, the explanation, there was no explanation of how Elias got to Faye, like the fairy area. Fairy to Fairy. They didn't explain that at all, and then they also didn't really explain how Dora got stuck in Fairy. Like
they did.
Well, yeah.
You did though.
Yeah, kind of.
Which is you.
I want more detail about that. Though. Like,
maybe go down to 1.5 speed next time.
Well, I heard the explanation. I just didn't think that was good enough.
Okay.
It was like, no,
Okay,
that's too easy.
Shaun, what was your least favorite part?
Oh,
or have you already covered it about the?
All right, like the too easy thing, like this. Really, you look at the story, and the story is really simplistic. So I don't know what you were really expecting for a whole lot. Like they gloss over everything. It's like a whole story, like slapped on like a thing of Vaseline on it. It's just gonna glaze over it all. A couple things. Any interaction with the ant, because that leads to the whole, I don't know, the rules and stuff like that, which was stupid. They're in this huge war with France. Why the hell would they have anyone in the government with a French title? The Grand Saucier? Seriously.
That was a little odd, yeah.
They did explain it in the end, though.
In the short story.
In the short
story.
Yeah.
Nah.
Because he killed the other sorcerer.
The French sorcerer.
So they're
he took over.
You took their title from them, essentially.
Yeah, so that's why it was. Yeah.
Just doesn't seem like a very English thing to do.
Explain, but not well.
They're very much, I'm taking it and making it our own. And that was just kind of like, we'll just use the name.
Well, like for the first bit, like, what the hell is a saucier? Like, I thought it was like a cook or a chef or something. It sounds very much like a cook, yes. Like, what the hell? Like, is he gonna like cook up a soup for me? Like, that's gonna win a war. Yeah, like dumb, but. And then, I was disappointed when I actually realized what it was. I'm like, this is even worse. I'd rather him be a cook. So,
he's out there in front line. Wait till you taste this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just bow down to my cooking skills.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the main things that.
Swedish cook.
Yeah.
Swedish chef, sorry.
If you like this type of stuff, I got a book for you. I'll tell you later there, Kris.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Mine was actually what you'd already covered, Shaun. Anytime we got into the, how do we have to, what all do I have to do to get you married off and everything like that. And I mean, not that we live in that type of society right now, but, and even just having boys, I'm just like, this is just ick. I understand it's historically accurate to the time and everything, but I was just like, can we move on?
So to add on to that one, the workhouses, the description of the workhouses.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, how could we actually treat people like that?
Yeah. And they were pretty brutal.
Especially kids, especially when it went into talking
They
about
were around for a long time.
Yeah, it did. Let's see here. Thoughts on the writing?
So this book reminds me a lot of another one I read called Soulless by Gail Gariger. I can't remember anyway now. And it is about a person who has no soul. But she was born that way. And so she's actually part of like kind of like a supernatural thing. She's not but it's set in the same time period. It's the same Regency rules and all that kind of stuff. So it was very similar to that. And for me, this is like a palate cleanser. I kind of need books with low stakes where it's just easy. Everything's easy. I'm not stressed out reading it and like crying or anything like that because I'm to this before bed. So when you read like really heavy books with like a lot of fight scenes or a lot of like high stakes stuff, sometimes it's just nice to read something that you don't have to worry too much about. So
Fair
that's
enough.
so I like how, I don't know, it was simple and that's why I liked it a lot.
Ray, thoughts on the writing?
It was fine. It was simple story. I don't know. Yeah, it was okay.
Fair enough.
I guess would be a way to,
Shaun, any thoughts on the writing?
Yeah, I agree with both Kris and Ray. Like it was a simple writing style. Not too much depth into anything, but yeah, every now and then you need that too. So yeah. I'll agree to that.
Nothing really to add to it. I mean, I thought I was at least able to understand the writing. Like sometimes it gets way too like some writers want to try to be way too accurate. We're said, I'm setting it during this time period, so I need to write as those writers would. And it's just like, okay, you're using a bunch of words and phrases and stuff that I have no clue what you're talking about, even in the context. And I at least I was like, oh, I understand what's going on in the story. So
yeah.
Would you read another book by this author?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's got a.
Because this is a trilogy, right?
I think so. Just a second. There's a book. It's
with the same characters.
Yeah. So no, but it's the same. So it's the next one's 10,000 Stitches, and then the one after that's called Long Shadow. And the 10,000 Stitches, there's like a little blurb in the back of the book, and it's about a Regency housemaid named Euphemia Reeves, and she acquires a fairy godfather.
So it's same world, but it's not even the continuation of the same characters.
I don't think so.
Huh.
I don't think it could be a continuation because they did wrap it up.
Wrapped it all
completely.
up. The only thing I could think that they could be able to continue is that Dora and Elias had an orphanage, and you could do the story of the orphans that were there. But that's about it. But yeah, so there's 2 other books, and I want to read more.
Okay, Ray.
I don't think I'd go out of my way to find one of her books.
That's a very politically nice way to say that. Shaun?
Nope.
There you go.
No, good. Thanks.
I'm not going to pick up any of her other books. I don't really have anything against it. It's just not really my cup of tea. That being said, if our next round of books, if Kris picks another one of her books, I'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna shy away from it. I'm not gonna be like, oh great, I gotta go do this again. I'll be like, all right, cool. Well, it's fine. It's just not my cup of tea. But like I said, we have definitely read some stuff that I would not go back to, and this is not one of those. So. Yeah. Let's see here. I really should be prepared. I really should have these written out or something so I can keep looking at them easier. I don't know. Did the book impact your mood? I'm gonna say no. Just like like you said, it was low stakes. There wasn't any time that I felt pressure or anything like that. I was just like, okay, well, we're still rocking along in the story, so it didn't really impact me that way. What about you, Kris?
Yeah, because it was a time period that I'm really interested in. So
Mhm.
I was interested with her take on it, and it was it didn't make me stressed out before bed, so that was good, and it made me happy at the end.
Ray?
I think it would it was a mild inflection one way or the other. So I'd get annoyed at how they treated people, or I'd get you know what? I kind of felt like Dora. It was the long-tailed feelings that I had for.
Such a good way to describe feelings, though.
It's so a slight annoyance or a slight joy, but
Mhm.
nothing overpowering.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Shaun?
Just slight annoyance. Really, it was really come on. And then I found I was like, how much do I have left in this book? I was checking that a lot.
Gotcha. Any lingering questions?
No. For
Not
me,
really. Like y'all said, she
I
did a good job wrapping it up. It was
wrapped it all up.
wrapped up, but at least it was wrapped up.
Yeah, it was all wrapped up. I just, maybe why this time period. That's all I would ask, but that's just more of my curiosity than anything.
Why iron?
Because that's like a staple of all fairies across all stories cannot tolerate iron. That's just a
Really,
thing.
I didn't. So that's like a running thing. I didn't know
That's
that.
a canon thing that all fairies
I would have
cannot tolerate. It's their
silver.
kryptonite. No, it's their kryptonite. Iron is their kryptonite.
I would have
That and ashwood, too, is also.
I'll have to add that to my quiver of things to know in case I ever have to battle imaginary creatures. Got to get some silver for some silver bullets and some iron for some fairies.
For fairies, yeah.
Yeah, I think just the explanation of how you get from one land to the other. That's what I'm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't covered very well, but yeah.
No.
Because I did halfway expect. I was like, so is it like a door? Is it something like you mentally like transport yourself or something? Because
It's a mental
give me
thing.
some. Well, but no, because Elias brought the physical scissors to her.
I don't know.
So,
I don't care. I think I don't care.
How'd you get there with the scissors?
Yes.
You know. What was the dust that you blew in her eyes so that she could see the strings? What's going on?
Again, I didn't care.
Apparently, Ray cared a lot.
Apparently.
I don't like vagueness.
Shaun, do you have any lingering questions?
No, I was good.
Let's see. I think we kind of covered it. Would you recommend the book? Well, okay. Would you recommend the book? Kris, would you recommend the book?
I think for somebody who hasn't read like a fantasy novel before and they read very much historical fiction, I would be like, this is a good way to sort of dip your toe because it's very low fantasy and really good introduction, I think, to fantasy. So if somebody was interested in it, I would probably recommend this book. Or
I agree with that. In fact, for when I was writing the blurb for the podcast episode or whatever, I think I even said it's someone said it was something else. I was like, I don't know quite. I said it was kind of like Bridgerton with a dash of Harry Potter, just a dash,
just a little bit of fairy, just a tip.
Little bit. We're not going all in or anything like that.
No. So if you were curious about whether you'd even like fantasy and you do like historical fiction, then yeah.
I'm sorry, Ray?
Not to Shaun. I would. I would have to know what their tastes are before I bring up this book.
And Shaun, I'm assuming it's an book.
But like everything though, it depends on who you're talking to.
That's
like,
very true. Yeah.
I would maybe recommend it to like a young teen or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just still trying to find the genre they like.
Yeah.
This has got a mix of a couple.
Mhm.
Not a great mix, but there's a mix.
Yep.
And yeah. But I
Okay.
don't know that many young teens. So well, I guess I do. I do know quite a few.
Oh, you have some teenagers at home.
This isn't a
Yeah.
move.
Well, unless you listen to at any point, Kris, you won't even be able to comment. What did you think of the narrator, Ray?
I think she did okay. And you know what? I will say, listening it to at a faster speed, I didn't mind her male voices for the most part. This is one of the few female narrators that I can tolerate her male voices.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have to speed it up because there was no way that I could listen to it at one times.
Did you send that to me on Instagram, or did we send that to the group, or did I just see that?
I don't know if our algorithms logged up, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, I think
It's like playing like beautiful music, and it's like starting to listen to a book, and it's a female voice, and then it's like as soon as she hits the first male voice, and they're just like, "Oh God, no!" Yeah,
yeah.
We all have our go-to, and it's always like this.
yeah, pretty much. Shaun, what'd you think of the narrator?
She wasn't bad. Yeah, usually male voices for females tend to be a little rough. But no, I really liked her Albert.
Yeah.
No, I think the narration was pretty decent for this.
I listen to it at 2 times speed, like I normally do. Usually, there's only been one book that I can still think of that I had to slow down just because of the content, and that was because of Carrie Fisher's book when she was talking about all the crazy stuff with her mom. I had to slow it down because my brain cannot handle those concepts. But otherwise, usually I only slow down because the narration's not that good, or the voice just has something a quality that just doesn't carry. And I was perfectly, no issues going through it. So yeah, I give her high marks on that. So, actually, maybe I should have brought this up here. Were there any themes, tropes, or anything in the book that you wanted to explore? And we've already kind of talked about the analogy to it being, possibly. Anyway,
I hate when that happens.
did you feel like they did a good job? I will say yes. Like I said, it really kind of because of the ending. That's why I felt like it was okay. Like I said, had the book ended where she got the other part of her soul back, and that's when she was quote unquote fixed or normal, or however you want to put it. I think that would have been like, no, sorry, I can't follow this. But I was fine with the way it ended. I was fine with if that's what she was presenting. And who knows? Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was just like, no, I'm just trying to figure out how to show what would it be like if you only had half a soul, because you wouldn't have feelings as well. So definitely don't want to put any words in this woman's mouth.
No.
When was this written, by the way? I didn't even look.
2020, I think.
So it's not too old.
Yeah, 2020.
Oh, yeah. So it's a newer book.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so there's not really any excuse to well, I didn't really think about it that way. So yeah. So anything else, any other themes or anything else that was brought up in the book that you enjoyed, wanted to explore, thought about?
I liked Albert falling for the
ex-governess.
ex-government.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I like that was a scandal.
That's a scandal.
That's
Oh
a
my
scandal.
god.
I love
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would have been. Totally would have
oh
been.
yeah, I can imagine, but
Him blow that much of his station and he's marrying a spinster. Oh, yeah.
all right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up with overall thoughts. I'm assuming it's a like, no, like. I'm going in the order that we've been going in.
Well,
Yeah.
read it because it was my choice.
Yeah, but I got through it and I
You
didn't
did.
mind it. So
Oh. You mind it. There you go.
There you go. High praise from Ray. Put that on the book cover. I didn't.
Yeah.
there are other books that I didn't even bother getting through or even
Yeah.
trying to start in some cases.
Yeah. Well, and I was telling someone the other day, I was like, I'm the only member of the group that's read
You are.
every one of them. I've read all of them.
I am extremely impressed.
You are. Yeah.
I have to keep going. I mean, I'm also kind of the host. It would kind of suck for me to show up and be like, well, I didn't bother with this one. Sorry.
That's
I like it when you tell me, "Oh, Shaun, you probably shouldn't read this." I do
Looking out
appreciate
for you,
those.
So,
this one's not for you. Just sit it out.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Well, and I mean, I
Can't
try to
make
do that
leap.
for everyone else. So, like, when we get around to Shaun and I's books in January and February, like, I really would like Kris to read them, but I'm definitely letting you know there's going to be some parts where you might just need to fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Shaun's giving me a heads up. I'm going to listen to it first, and I'll let Kris know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So he knows more or less what
her limit is.
what my limit is. So he's gonna listen to it, and if it's like you're fine, then I will. But if it's like, then I'm definitely not. If he makes a face,
It's like
I'm reading it.
a minute. You could like literally skip over it.
Yeah, it doesn't go on and on. It's yeah. Honestly, the roughest thing is in the second book. And you know what's going to happen, so you just know, okay, this doesn't end well for this character. Skip a little forward ahead. All right, we keep moving on. So
you're definitely gonna have.
Oh, I'll maybe Kris will read it and listen to it.
It's totally worth it.
It is. They are really good books, though. All right. Well, that is
Shaun.
That is our book. Let's go ahead and talk about. Well, let me go ahead and just throw out there. So our schedule. I mean, we may have changed it up a little bit since last time we talked. We decided in December, instead of moving on to our next book in the series, we're going to do just kind of a yearly wrap up thing and talk about all the other books that we didn't review on this show. So anything that you've read that we didn't talk about, on the show or in previous shows or whatever, we're going to discuss that next month. So just kind of a catch up. What else have we been reading type episode? And then in January, we're going to read Demon by Daniel Suarez. February, we will read the sequel, Freedom, TM, also by Daniel Suarez. And then we have Joseph's book in March, Jennifer's book in April, and Ray's book in May. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to what else you've been reading, Kris.
Oh my God, so much.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have brought my notebook down. I finished Howl's Moving Castle, which I didn't realize was written in 1986. It's really good. I would have loved this as a kid. Really would have loved it. And I now want to watch this Studio Ghibli movie. Then I finished another audiobook, and it was free. I told Ray about it mainly because Brendan Fraser's one of
You didn't tell me about it. I downloaded it before you told me.
Oh, I know which one that one is.
Yeah, so it's called The Downloaded.
Yeah, I listened to that one.
Okay, so it's got a various cast. I thought it was a good story. I mean, I liked it. I really like listening to Brendan Fraser.
It's a free one?
It was, I don't know. It's like
Audible original.
It's a quick one too.
It's 5.5 hours. So I just finished that one.
So it'll be like 2 hours for you.
Yeah, it'll be 2 hours.
Yeah.
So just finished that one. And then I finished a book called This Is How You Lose the Time War. It's a really short book too. It's about just under 200 pages, and it's a joint effort between two authors. I can't remember their names right now. And it's a kind of post-apocalyptic love story written through letters of these two different types of entities. So red is part of a technocracy, and then blue is part of like this organic organism, like hive kind of thing. And so they have to jump back and forward through time, trimming these strands to sort of make the timeline go the way each side needs to. And they meet up, they connect through these letters that they leave each other through the different strands and times, and they slowly fall in love with each other. And it was a bit I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting it because of the way that it was written, but it was beautiful. And then now I'm reading, I think you got this for me. It's called Unnatural Magic by C.M. Waggoner.
And you started it last night.
I started it last night. And it's very info dumpy at the beginning. Like I'm like, because it's just the amount of information I've been fed. It's a magical system, magical school. And then the second character part is a troll who's basically trying to find her clan, but then like humans are getting murdered and they're blaming the trolls and all this kind of stuff. So, and then eventually the two characters merge and their stories connect eventually. I think that's what it said. So it was a lot of information and a lot of fucking, if you're gonna, one of the trolls' names has 14 letters in it. How the fuck am I supposed to pronounce that?
Jeez.
So it's literally, that's how I say it in my head. Just because I cannot, it's so, anyway, don't do that. If you are ever listening to your writing, please do not make your characters' names 14 letters long. It's ridiculous. If that's not the language you speak, don't make them that name. That was it.
Or just go with the old trope of sorry, you can't pronounce it in your tongue, or
yeah,
your human brain can't comprehend it. So just call me Tom. You know,
exactly. I love that. I think that would have been way better.
I had to cut out your tongue.
Yeah.
Ray, you been reading anything else?
Totally honest, no. I haven't. My focus was to get through this book, and then I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and other things. There's actually one podcast that I just finished up that was really interesting. It was on Serial, which is it's put on by New York Post, or no, is it New York Post? I think it's in like they do articles anyway. They do a bunch of different series, and they start off as like a murder mystery, like a murder type of podcast. However, they do all sorts of different crimes. There's some really fascinating deep dives, and what they'll do is they'll release series. So this one was a 4-episode. I've listened to another one which was like a 6-episode, and it's a really deep dive into a particular crime, or even if it's it's really kind of cool. So
okay,
but as for reading anything, no, I haven't. No, so
fair enough. Shaun, you been reading anything else?
So I did listen to the Downloaded, which it was Brendan Fraser. Facebook was listening to me and like
Space is right there.
I was like, oh, I gotta listen to this. So it was really good. It was just a short one. I did listen to Still Just a Geek by Will Wheaton. So that was like 26 hours or something.
It's like long.
Holy crap. That I knew, like being a fan or Star Trek fan, I knew about a lot of the crap he went through and stuff like that. But still, it was like, feel for you, dude. It was hard.
When he starts talking about the movie that they filmed overseas with him and his sister, and how he was how they were physically abused and stuff, that's when I was just like, okay, dude, like I don't know how you have gotten to where you are at this point. Like, I understand you being broken and running away and not wanting to share and everything. So
so that took up quite a bit. Started listening to Making It So, which will be Jen's pick, I believe. That's the Patrick Stewart autobiography.
Oh, did she say that was her pick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I need to go ahead and put that in the notes then.
So Deb and I were listening to that together when we drove Patrick back to Ottawa. So we had a lot of time, and then we listened to a lot of it coming back. But now I can't finish it without her. So it's it's about 3/4 done. I will get back to it. What else? And then right now I'm listening to My Side of the Mountain. I don't know if you remember, there was an old movie kid that like runs away and like survives on the side of a mountain. Like I loved the movie as a kid. It was so great. And then for some reason, I went looking for Audible for it. I'm like, yeah, this is probably based on a book. Sure enough, it was. So it's just I think it's like 5 hours, 6 hours. But just even listening to it is like, oh, I can remember the movie. It's like one of those childhood things. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
but I think the book was written in like 1954 or something like that. Like it's an older book, but no, I'm really enjoying it. I'm almost done it. Yeah, busy.
Hadn't been listening to a lot of stuff. I went back and re-listened to a bunch of stuff. I was actually going to go back through here and just kind of re-look. I went ahead and went back all the way through the because it was October. I went back and re-listened to a bunch of Stephen King stuff. So I went back and re-listened to like Needful Things, Revival, Salem's Lot. I went all the way back through the Magic 2.0 series just because I was in the mood for that. So I haven't fully read anything new, but I started making it so. And I almost want to slow it down. It's a decent sized book. But a part of me does kind of want to slow it down just because it's Patrick Stewart reading it.
How far are you?
Oh, I'm
Is he still a kid?
Oh yeah. Oh
okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. Slow it down
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Okay.
And then there's a shit ton of his theatrical stuff, and he's like name drops and like the stuff he talks about it like you should know this because it's such a big deal, and we're like, who the fuck is he talking about now? Like, and it's literally for hours. Like, so speed that up.
Okay.
We're finally getting to the Star Trek stuff. And it's like, oh, I've been waiting hours for this fucking bit here. So, but the kid stuff is fascinating. I thought it was really interesting. But then, yeah, it just bogs down into, unless you're into theater, when you may know these companies that he worked for and the names and stuff like that.
I won't.
But
I'll be honest.
Yeah, then speed that up.
Okay. I may take your advice on that. Of course, right now I may just go ahead and drop in because hell, that would be an afternoon. I may just go ahead and do the downloaded just because y'all both seem to have enjoyed it and knock that out and then come back. So yeah, because sometimes I'm just like, it's not that I'm not enjoying the book. It's just like, dang it, I've only got 30 minutes. Do I really want to start on this again? Then have to stop and not be able to get back to it for another day or so. So I may just drop that in there just to kind of keep going. So, but. Well,
I found another book that I finished.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, no, there is another one that I read. Anyway, it's called Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. It is an enemies to lover. It's set in like a parallel universe where gods have now awakened and they're having this war, and humans are sort of like the collateral damage. And these two, they're 18 and 19. They start a correspondence through these magical typewriters, which was pretty cool. The best love scene I have ever read in any book. So much so I read it twice. It wasn't graphic or anything like smutty or anything. It's just the way that she wrote it was just beautiful. I'm like, oh. So now I have to wait till next year for the fucking second book to come out. But it was really good. I didn't really care about the war and the gods or anything like that, but it does. It's a good it's a good story about trauma, war, like how it affects people and soldiers and stuff like that, and kind of family dynamics and stuff like that. But yeah, and the best love story, the love scene ever.
Okay. I just remembered something else, another thing in this book that I wanted to bring up specifically with you, Kris.
Okay.
And that was, of course, I know how you feel about the book now, but the fact that old dude starts off as I'm tough and I don't care about things and I'm a man, and and I was just like, oh, is it gonna be another one of these of even though she can't really pine over anyone, she doesn't have that capability. But I was just like, is this another one of those? Oh, this dude's really not someone women should be going after. But in the book series, because you've talked about that, you hate that trope now in books. And when he has the scene where he like completely breaks down, I was like, okay, this is the dude. This is totally not that dude, and I kind of rather liked that. So, but yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when he first appeared. I was just like, oh, here we go.
No, I hate alcohol. So I knew he wasn't going to be like that. There's like this. It was the way other people talked about him in the book, like the way Albert talked about him, and other people in general, like the aunts and stuff, and Lady Caraway. The way they talked about Elias. I'm like, he's not an alcohol. He's just weird, and they don't like it. So yeah. But yeah, I hate alcohols. I hate it. Their whole book. Yeah, totally. Whole book series I refuse to read because of that.
Like I said, and I just thought about that when you were talking. I was just like, oh yeah, I was gonna bring that up. So.
No, I never thought for once. So.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that is our episode for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Google, wherever you listen to the show. You can also watch it on YouTube at Epically Geeky. You can find us at epicallygeeky.com, where you can find the other the other shows that we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, Creatively Geeky, and Sustainably Geeky. We're actually going to be recording a new episode of Epically Geeky. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after next. So there should be a new episode then. Still trying to decide exactly what we're going to talk about. Well, we'll get there. And then you can find us on some of the social media, at least Instagram and Facebook, at Epically Geeky. Where can we find you online, Kris?
On Instagram at Moody Midlife.
Ray?
Trying to find a good book to listen to in May. And the Getty on Instagram. So.
Shaun?
Screwing with Wikipedia. You got to make them earn that $3 they're asking for now or whatever. So probably not such a good idea. And your favorite broken toy spelled the Canadian way on Instagram.
And as always, you can find my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Jane on Facebook and Instagram. For everyone on the site, have a good night.